Hello, everyone. Can you hear me well? So I'm very glad to be here today. I know that's Codam, so it's part of 42 Network, and I was myself like a student at 42 Paris. So I was there in the first promotion in 2013, and this is where I discovered programming and how you can build like a product that can reach like millions of people with no money, with just like a computer and a Wi-Fi connection. So you have to understand that what you are learning here, like at Codam, like is an amazing way, like you will be probably one of the best developers at some point on the market, but it's not only about learning programming. What you learn today is you learn how to learn new technologies very fast. And us, like when we started, like Starton, we didn't know nothing about blockchain, and but because we were at 42, we managed to have this capacity to learn new technology very fast. So I'm here today for a different reason. The first is, of course, to explain you what is blockchain and what we are passionate about it. But also because I want to transfer this passion to you. And I want to tell you that today you have an opportunity to be present like it will have been if you will be at the beginning of the internet. There is absolutely everything to be done on Web3, especially on blockchain. And I will explain you what is it today. But you have my email, you have my Telegram, and so if you want like help, like to becoming like entrepreneurs, or if you're looking for intern or anything else, please, like you can send me a message. So you know, like 42 is the real family, and this is what we're trying to achieve. When we started, we were alone, so now it's a huge network, and I believe like we can create this 42 mafia everywhere in the world, helping each other. So that's the mindset, okay? We want to build the 42 mafia, we want to be the best, and when we started, we were alone, but now, like if you can see, like on the whole network, like you have like amazing companies, amazing peoples, and every time now we work with a company, I've seen like a fellow 42 working in these companies. So this is just the beginning. It's a huge network. It's a huge family. So I'm here today to bring you the passion of what is Web3 and blockchain, but also to help you. So please don't hesitate to send me a message because it's all about peer-to-peer, and this is what we're trying to achieve here. So I don't know here which one of you, like, who got crypto, like here? Okay, we got a few crypto, and who know what is blockchain? Okay, cool. So today, what I want to tell you is like blockchain is not about crypto, okay? Maybe you have read some stuff like about what happened yesterday. Well, for the one who don't know it, but there were these crazy stories about Binance and FTX. Well, all this new market is like like when they discover America and it was like completely crazy and well, it's kind of the Far West. But what people understand of crypto today, this speculative instrument, this is not what blockchain is about. It's a technology, it's code, this is what you are learning, and it's shaping our world. Our world is getting even more digitalized every day. What you see in science fiction movies is the future. Okay, so you will have more and more power, and at some point, code will be low, and this is what I will try to explain you with blockchain. So I will start with an introduction to blockchain technologies, but I will try to not speak too much about block and chain and see how we can compare blockchain to what we know. So before internet, what happened before internet? So before we had internet, if we wanted like to share a file with someone, well, we needed to save this file in an object. I don't know if some of you have known this object. That's called a disk. And so you will have to save this file into a disk and go physically to the computer and give it to a person. But then came like some internet protocols that you have may heard of. So for example, TCP, which enabled computer to exchange data. Then you had SMTP, which is like another protocol that enables you like to do email, send an email, receive email. And you got HTTP, because before the early days of the internet, you know, like you would go on the internet using like your terminal, which you know how to do today, but you won't have like the beautiful pages that bring HTTP. So the web was built on top of protocols, and also different type of protocols. Maybe you have learn some peer-to-peer protocols. Maybe, I don't know, some of you have downloaded torrent, MP3 movies. And for the older like me, maybe you've heard about Emule, and this is what we used at the time. So we've seen TCP, we've seen SMTP, we've seen HTTP, we've seen BitTorrent. So they were old protocols. Well, blockchain technologies are protocols that are shaping a new web. And this is what we believe at Starton. But it's not only a protocol, because if you compare blockchain to HTTP, I mean, like, blockchain is very more powerful, and this is what I will try to explain to you today. So they are shaping a new web. But blockchain is much more than a protocol. So you can compare it at a computer. This is like an old computer from the 1950s. And it's a computer, but it is slow. It is very expensive, because what you do online, you need to pay to deploy smart contract, but I will come to this later. So it's a computer. You can compare it as a computer, but it is slow, it is expensive, and it's not really good for basic computation. It is only basic computation, and you won't use blockchain if you want to launch like complex algorithm. But it has amazing features. It's a truly global computer, okay? It's not one computer or one place. It's a network of computers everywhere in the world. It cannot be stopped or censored, okay? There is no, it's a computer, but you don't have the off or switch on button, okay? It's immortal, okay? It's mortal, at least until there is like computers, there will be blockchain. And it's everywhere, because where you have internet, you have blockchain. So this is what I think. We can think that blockchain technologies, I told you that they are protocols shaping a new web. We can compare them at computers, but not only. So I've talked about protocols. So I say you can compare blockchain to the early days of internet and the protocol that shape it. You can compare it as a computer, okay, but how does it work? Well, we can speak of it as a network. So it's a peer-to-peer network of computers. So you have everywhere in the world, you have people that run programs that we call nodes. And all these programs, they all save like a ledger. So what's a ledger? I will explain you what's a ledger. So a blockchain is also a ledger. So what's a ledger? It's kind of a big database of transaction, okay? But it's a growing database of transaction, and everything on-chain is a transaction. So it's a shared, trusted, public ledger of transaction that everyone can inspect, but which no one controls. So I said that blockchain is protocols. It's also a powerful computer, but it's also a ledger, okay? That's the basic features. It's a ledger. You can save transaction on it. Everything is a transaction. And it works not because there is like a central OTT, like Google. It works because there is a network of participants that enable blockchain to work. So like compare to where you use what I showed you before, like torrent, okay? So at some point you use torrent, you had all the seeders, so that's quite the same things, okay? It's a peer-to-peer network. But what is a transaction? So I said that everything on blockchain is a transaction. So this is an example of a transaction. So I'm sending like to Cedric. And so instead of my name here, I have like what we call an address. This is how you identify yourself on blockchain. 2, this is the Cedric address. And it has 2 with 8 digits, because it handles 8 digits, so this is what you had. So this is my address, so it's 42 hexadecimal characters, okay, starting with 0x, okay, that's how you identify yourself. But how, when I'm using blockchain, so when I make a transaction on chain, how can I prove that it's me? Well, we have private keys and public keys, and I sign the transaction using my private keys to authenticate it, to prove that it's me. So how does it work? I sign that transaction, I send it to a node, okay? A node is this program that you run on your own computer that makes you a participant of the network. And then the all nodes share the transaction with the whole network. But what do we say, like it's blockchain, what do we find like this terrible name? And it's funny because when we started at Starton initially, when we were explaining what we do, we used the word crypto at the really beginning, and people were like, okay, it's a scam. And then we explained them we are in blockchain, and they were like, block what? So still very complicated to explain it, but we managed to do it. So we speak about a chain of blocks because every transaction are batched into a single block. So this is called a block, okay? And there is all the transactions inside, and when they are validated by the network, they are then sent within the whole node in the network. So it guarantees the integrity of each block because each block is hashed, okay? So we have like a digital footprint of this transaction, and the whole hash is sent to another block, which we can retrace the whole history of what happened on this ledger, starting with the Genesis block, which is the first transaction that happened on chain. But what about code? So I just spoke about protocol. I spoke about network, about computers, but you are a developer, you are coding. So today, when you program in C, where you are executing like a program on your machine, on your computer, like if you are doing some web, you are executing this code like on the server, on the browser, for example, but on chain, so it's much more than this. And I will explain you why. It all started with Bitcoin, so it was the first time, so blockchain and all related networks was like all about theory, okay? And Bitcoin was like the first like application, like the real application. But then came some interesting stuff like Ethereum. And Ethereum introduced a new concept called smart contract. So a smart contract is just a program, okay? There is different programming language to code the smart contract. Like for some, it's like the most used is Solidity. But what happened with this code? So instead of executing this code on your own computer, you executed this code on chain. When you execute code on blockchain, okay, you cannot change it afterwards. When you execute this code, okay, when it's live, nobody can change it, nobody can alter it, and it will run autonomously and forever. It is immutable, like I said, no one can change it. It is permanent because no one can erase it. It's fully transparent because blockchain is this public ledger. You can see everything that happened there. And it's fully auditable because you can see every program that is executed on chain. Okay, so can you imagine this? You are creating a program that even his own creator cannot modify afterwards. So that's the beauty about it. This is what we love. So it's creating a new paradigm in the way that you can create program. But what about crypto in all of this? So we all heard about crypto for the speculative instrument that it is, but crypto is not about this, you know? Like to enable this network, we had to create like an economics incentive, okay? So in order to have participants to make the whole network work, we need to create like an economic incentive, which is crypto. So all the participants in this ecosystem, when they are validated transaction, they are paid in crypto. Because what you do, every time you deploy like a program on chain, you have to pay a fees that we call a gas fees, and it is paid in a native money of the protocol. So if you are creating program on Ethereum, you will have to pay in Ether, like on Avalanche, Avax, etc. But it's also for security. So you may have heard about DDoS attack, okay? But it's impossible to make a DDoS attack on blockchain because you will need like so much power, okay? So much power that you have more energy than the whole network, but also a lot of money because every request that you will make, you need to pay with gas fees, so it's a security. But also, crypto was meant for curation and quality because everything you do on chain is permanent, okay? So we needed a way to make sure that people are not creating like shitty apps, okay? They are creating quality apps, and that's why every time you need to create a program, an application on chain, you need to pay a gas fees in crypto. But of course, as a developer, you don't pay every time because you need some time to test your program, and that's why you have testnet, which is like the equivalent of your development environment. But what do we need So everything, so about like blockchain is linked to decentralization. So it's a complex concept, and we might not know what we need it today, but maybe tomorrow we will realize it, and hopefully not too late. So let's take the example of a bank, okay? A bank handle your money for you, okay? So they profit using your money, which on which you take nothing, okay? Nothing profit. Sometimes they can freeze your account. Sometimes they can block your wire transfer. Sometimes, and you have seen like in some countries, like you cannot withdraw all the money from the banks. And when it goes bankrupt, where you can lose it all. Because you are not in control of your money, because you let the bank, okay, have the third party to own it. So that's an example of centralization. Then let's take like some platform like YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. On this platform, you do not control your data, okay? So you have access of it, but they are profiting with your data. They are generating revenue that you do not take a share. But on blockchain, like all the data is public. It's equality. Everyone that's arrived, okay, can access the same data that's anyone, okay? So you can compare it as a notebook, okay? Everything is public. Everyone is writing information, but no one can delete it, and everyone has access to it at the same level, okay? So it's completely equal. And let's take an example for election. Like the process of election hasn't been evolved like since like 100 years, okay? It's the same things. You write a name on the paper, you put it in a box, and then you wait that is count, etc. Well, how would you create with today's technology, so the program, the technology that you know that you use, that you're learning here, how would you create like an election system that will guarantee that the government won't change the result, that will guarantee the transparency of the result, that will guarantee the anonymity of who is voting? Well, it's not possible with today's technology, but we can do it with blockchain. We can build like a program that will run on blockchain, that will be verifiable, auditable, that everyone will be able to check and see that there is no issue, not like government on it. It will be fully transparent because by the end of the result, everyone will have access of the result of the vote. And it will be anonymous because it won't be your name, but it will be like the special identity that you have on chain that I've told you before. So how does it solve centralization? Because let us show you earlier, like it's not like a network, like it's not like one entity, one computer. It's a network of computers, and there is no single point of failure. So blockchain technology are creating a platform of trust for each participant without relying on third party where code is low. And this is these last words. You can execute code that no one can change, that no one can censor. Code that is permanent and that will run by itself. No more need of servers or anything. You execute your code, boom, it goes, it's forever. But now, actually, because there is a question about it, so maybe you've heard about the term Web3, but what do we call, like, what do we say about Web3? So we say Web3, this is the third generation of the web, but you have to understand that it's not only about blockchain, okay? We are reinventing all the protocol that have shaped our web of today, and we are reinventing a way to share files, to host files, so it's not only about blockchain. We are reinventing protocol to call external data, called oracles. And I will take like an example today with another protocol, which is called like IPFS, for interplanetary file system. And it's a protocol that enables you to store files in a decentralized way. So Web3 is not only about blockchain. It's reinventing of the protocols, and IPFS is one of these protocols, and this is what we call Web3. This is the third generation, the third revolution of it. So IPFS, the same principle as blockchain, okay? But on blockchain, you have like this program that runs on the computer called a node. It enables to store the same copy of the transaction history, but on IPFS, a node, each node stores a different set of files. But it's quite similar. So it's a difference. So you are used to, like, when you go on the web, and you go on the website, like, and you have your domain / file.pdf, it's called location-based referencing, where I was using IPFS is content-based referencing. So that's the example. But in this example, it's a problem, because I will be able to keep the same address, but I will be able maybe to change the content of this file and put like a virus on it. So how can I guarantee this? Well, this is the difference with this content-based referencing using by IPFS. It's not where you're going, okay, like this, it's what you want to get. So when you upload a file on IPFS, you call like this file is hashed, and you got like a reference number which is called like a CID. Okay, so you know that every time you want this file, you're asking for the exact file that you want. Because if somebody changes for each reason, like change the file, the end file, well, it will change the hash. Okay, so it's impossible to alter. So what is used for? So now I will show you how can we deploy like an NFT. So we use IPFS, for example. Maybe you have heard of NFT. And NFT is like a token, but with added information, okay? We call it like a non-fungible token. So if you want to know the difference, so that's fungible, okay? If you give me this kind of €1 and I give you mine, it's the same, so it's fungible. But my ID card, we cannot exchange each other because it's non-fungible. So I will do a workshop to show you how to deploy a smart contract and how to deploy NFT. And I will show you how we use IPFS to store the information that you have on this NFT. Before I go there, do you have any question? Yes, please.
You said earlier you had this super long hash that you can use when you're looking for something in some location.
Yes.
And you said when it will be changed, the hash will change as well.
Yes, exactly.
I thought it was like non-changeable. Should I repeat the question?
No. Okay, sure. So what I showed before, it was like what is immutable, it's about blockchain, okay? So IPFS is a bit like, it's a protocol which is a bit different, and it's me that is uploading, on my node, I'm uploading the file, but I can change it. Of course, I can change the file. It's not like blockchain which is permanent, okay? Blockchain is permanent because like you need a consensus, okay? You need all the computer needs to be in the same accordance in order to change something. But on IPFS, it's just like a network when you can publish files, but you have access to these files, like I can change it, but what won't change is the CID, okay? The CID is the unique hash created by the file. But it's possible like to upload another file to change the CID, but the CID won't change. But IPFS is a bit different than blockchain.
Thank you.
Do you know any blockchain projects that really show the strength of blockchain? Do you know any examples?
Well, we have different, like I like to compare like blockchain with like the Nokia 3310, like the old cell phones, but we can imagine what will be if it's an iPhone. So today, we are focused on a VM, which has like all this blockchain like on the Ethereum virtual machine. So they are. What do you mean by strengths? You mean like scalability, and you mean like?
Yeah, just like an example of projects that are currently on the market, okay. That you feel like, oh, they really show the strength of using blockchain. Like a good example of a company.
You have like a Starknet, which is like evolving and as reinventing. But you have to understand that it's really like an early technology, but as you know, technology like evolves on a really rapid space, you know. And so from Bitcoin, that was like, you know, in the past, like something very slow with only one application, we got Ethereum that bring a lot of application, and then we got Polygon, and then we got Starknet. So it's evolving. And now all the new protocols arriving, you know, are enabling like faster transaction, more scalability, higher volume. But you have Starknet, for example, you have also all the new Zika rollup like arriving on Polygon. I mean, it's evolving. It's evolving. Starknet is a good example. It's live. There is like big video games that are running on it, fully on chain with like millions of players, with huge volume, with huge transactions. So yeah, it's a good example. Yeah.
Well, I have multiple questions. It's okay. Very different, but like you say, on the blockchain, it's like a book, and you write a rule, for example, at the beginning of the book.
Exactly.
How you can prevent, for example, writing like giving you money, like, oh, I give myself this amount of crypto. Like, is it possible, or?
You mean how to prevent yourself to send yourself money?
And like, yeah, kind of like creating money for myself, like.
Well, that's the beauty of it. You can create money.
Yeah.
I mean, you can create money. Like you can create your own token, for example. So a token is basically a program that you run on chain. So you will be able to create and create your own money. But if it's like another money that's like, for example, it's ETH or like Bitcoin, like you cannot create more because you are not in control of it. You can just send it, okay? So you can send, like, if you have some Bitcoin, like you can send it to another person, but you are not in control of it, and you cannot create more.
Okay. And another one, very different. So the blockchain worked because we all have computer, right? All have internet and Wi-Fi and stuff.
Yes.
I heard that it's really bad for ecology, like later on, that it's gonna make a lot of energy and kind of probably heat the planet. So is there like
so that was true
that?
for it is true for Bitcoin. Okay, so we said that Bitcoin is terrible and that using a lot of energy, but this is only true for Bitcoin. Now the all new protocols that are emerging are using another type of consensus algorithm. This is a way to validate transaction on the network, to decentralize it. So for Bitcoin, it was proof of work. It was needed a lot of energy from the computer. But for example, like recently, Ethereum, which is another like blockchain that appears like just after Bitcoin, I just switched recently to what we call proof of stake. And it's changing the way it validates transaction. It's changing the way it decentralized the network. And it consumes zero energy, okay? So less than what Netflix would do with Netflix, you know, like consume. So it was true, but only for Bitcoin.
Hello. Yeah. I have a question, because I do understand that, for example, with transactions and stuff is going faster and faster, say Solana and stuff like that. But the only thing that always confuses me a little bit is like the scalability, because I can assume the larger it gets, right? At a certain point, you need a copy of everything, and like if you have an address, it needs to go all the way back to the origin, isn't it? So that's, yeah.
It's true, and that's why, like I said, that it's very like a nation technology. And you know, like scalability is a real issue because like there is like this trilemma, and if you want like decentralization, well, you have to take some from the scalability. But also today is an issue because like if you take like blockchain like Ethereum or Bitcoin, like you say, everyone has a registry and this is very heavy. So you need like a big server and stuff. But now the new protocols are very tiny. Okay, so they are solving lots of issues. Okay, so they are using cryptography, like even more like a stronger cryptographic algorithm that enable better scalability, that enable a tinier like blockchain, that enable faster transaction. But that's why, you know, that's why we need, and this is what we are trying to achieve. Us, like, you know, like we are building this framework, like to enable like many developers to work on blockchain. And what I believe, if the more we start building on it, like, you know, the more we build on blockchain, and the more we will solve these issues. Yeah. But you have to understand that that's why, because it's very at the beginning, and that's why if you start today, you are a pioneer. That's why there is an opportunity, because there is everything to be done. When you work like in, I don't know, like in JavaScript, on other web programming, even in C, you have a lot of tools, you have a lot of framework, you have a lot of library. On blockchain, like you have nothing, because everything has to be built. But the more builder, the better it will be, and but also it's very the beginning. So there is a terrible issue with scalability, but are being solved by like those new protocols that are using even better, stronger cryptographic algorithms, etc., etc.
Okay, thanks.
But that's why it's not perfect. It's not perfect, and that's why it's an opportunity. That's why I want to explain to you, because like there is a lot of people that are developing mobile apps, web apps, or embedded software. But how many people in the world are developing apps on blockchain? There's like very few. There's 1,000 developers. So like, how many of them know the technology? A few of them. So there is a real opportunity today to shape a new digital world, and I believe it is this.
Thanks.
Hi. You mentioned earlier and throughout the presentation that like decentralization is at the core of blockchain, and I definitely agree with you. But what's your perspective on things happening in the past? For example, with Tornado Cash, where the people who built the Tornado Cash, by the way, for reference, it's a project which allowed you to basically your whatever cryptocurrency.
Privacy, yes.
Yeah,
so,
it's very privacy related, right? And so you were able to hide your account balances by transferring to different wallets and whatnot. When you have that and you say code is law, but then, for example, there are regulatory entities like the U.S. government and whatever. I'm not sure if he was sent to jail, but there's a lawsuit against him and a lot of stuff happening like that. Sorry?
He's Dutch, I think.
He's Dutch even, okay. Is there, like, what's your perspective on privacy on the blockchain and the fact that people can get sued or sent to jail if they build something which is decentralized and privacy oriented and the government doesn't like?
Okay. First of all, like there is no really privacy on blockchain. Okay, so everything is public, so you can see everything. So, like I said, like it's a public record, like of transactions. So we all are equal, and we all have access to the same information. But now you have new protocols that are adding this privacy layer. So there is like a new way to add privacy. Tornado, indeed, was a platform that enabled you to add privacy and to so you would have received, I don't know, crypto, and you will use Tornado, Cash Tornado, so like a mixer, to send it to many transactions. But indeed, decentralization is the end goal. It's the end goal. Clearly, it's not yet today, okay? So we've built a network. So we've built blockchain. It is decentralized, okay? But I mean, decentralized because it's need a lot of work, but still our infrastructure run on server. Most of what you find on blockchain run on AWS. Okay, so AWS, so it's easy for government to call them and to cut it. So the code was open source, but it was on GitHub. So it's a centralized platform. So they call GitHub and they kill the page. So if you rely on centralized platform, you cannot reach decentralization, okay? But that's why we need to invent new platform. We need to reinvent new protocol. Everything has to be done. So maybe if we would have created a decentralized GitHub, okay, that run fully on blockchain, okay, fully on blockchain with different tools, maybe, well, we will still have, this code. Okay, maybe if they will have used another kind of computing network, okay? Because like I said, there is blockchain, but not only blockchain. There is a lot of protocol that are used maybe to us bigger application. If you need more computational power, well, we wouldn't have this problem. So yet decentralization is not here today, okay? But we are a lot of time ahead of us, okay? But time is going very fast. Technology is going very fast, okay? But now That's why it needs to be in our head today. We need to think that, okay, the decentralization is not here today, but how can we bring like services that we use today, okay, when we build apps, when we use service, like Web2 services, what can we use to bring them to Web3? How can we use to bring them to decentralization? And when we will manage to do this, we will reach a fully decentralization. But for the moment, it's still a myth, okay? And we are trying our best, to bring it. But some idea have emerged, something have emerged, but it's not fully, of course, it's not fully decentralized. But when you see problem like Tornado Cash, you ask yourself, maybe we really need decentralization. But the thing is, we shouldn't be aware of it when it's too late. Okay, so we should realize it sooner. So we are putting in place what needs to be done in order to achieve the decentralization. But yet today, I can answer you that's not like fully decentralized. Of course, there is a lot of work, but it's the beginning.
Maybe you have answered the question already during your presentation, but I get that decentralization is the core concept of blockchain, but what I didn't get or what I missed out is why is decentralization so important? Because for me, I don't know nothing about blockchain, and if you mentioned that we run a program which the owner is not able to edit, like at first is counterintuitive. Like, why is decentralization so important? What's the benefit for the user out of decentralization?
It's a really great question. And I didn't say, but it's not all about decentralization. Okay, so it adds. So this is what I tried to explain when I compare it to a computer. It adds like different concept. Okay, a computer that everyone can use, that is everywhere, and also that is immutable. So it's a right question, but to understand like the issue of decentralization. Well, you need to have faced the challenge first. So us, like here, like in Amsterdam or in France, I mean, like we don't have like terrible issue. But what in other country where they have like censorship, okay? So when like media cannot like tell what they want to do, okay? Because there is the government that censor everything. But if you have decentralization, if you have the platform on which those media can publish information without enabling government to delay this information, this is where we need decentralization. When you have country where there is no real democracy, we have democracy, so it's not a problem for us. But what in those countries where there is no democracy, where they think they are voting for someone, but there is no democracy because they are the government who elect the president. So there we need decentralization. For those people that cannot rely on trust, we need decentralization when we cannot trust the third party. So for us, for the moment, it's okay. But what happens in our world, like in the future, where everything will be digitalized? Can we really have our own life, our own life, like owned by Facebook or something? Can we rely on our day-to-day life on those platforms? No. At this point, we will need decentralization. But for us now, I can answer you. For us now, really not sure if we need it. Okay, so because we are living in developed country. But there is some people in other countries, they really need EV decentralization. But it's also, and it's also like, for yourself, it's not so, and that's the challenge of what we are trying to achieve, because we believe that if you want to make like this technology mainstream, we need to build apps that make it disappear, that make blockchain disappear. So we are trying like to bring a solution like an API, which is make easier and easier like for developer to integrate it so they can focus on the user experience. But at the end, you as user, you shouldn't know that it's blockchain. You shouldn't hear about blockchain, but you will be safe. It's like privacy. It's like privacy. It's like asking, what do we need privacy? Of course. Yeah, but what do we need privacy? I mean, online there's no privacy. But when I ask yourself, do we need privacy? You will be, but because I mean, so to understand those core like issue, like you need to live it at some point. At us, we are very lucky, so we don't need yet, but at some point we will. So we'll see, hopefully.
I have a question which is actually kind of a follow-up on the previous question. So I fully agree that the situation, the picture that you're painting would hypothetically be a better world than the one we have today, because I think everyone uses Google and Facebook and Twitter and stuff, and a lot of people still at the same time don't really like that they're using it, but everyone is on there and stuff like this. So let's say I'm a musician and I want to publish my song on some decentralized version of Spotify, which is better because more money goes to me and it's cheaper for the user because there's no entity in the middle that's trying to make a profit. But there's also no entity in the middle to make everything popular and have an advertising budget and stuff like this. So I guess my question is how I guess I see the end goal and I see the current situation. I just have a hard time envisioning the path from how to get from A to B, if you will.
You say like there's no one to make it popular. Who is making it popular? Is it like the company or is it its users?
Well,
users are making stuff popular. You are using a tool, you are using an app because you heard your friend is using it. It's not because the company called you and say, man, use it, it's popular. Okay, you are using stuff because other people are using it. Other people make it popular.
But that's, the truth is sort of in the middle, right? Like, if even if
I don't use a service because like the company tell me to use the service. I use it because I have people that I know that are using this service and they told me that it's a good service. So this is how it became popular. But
sure.
Talking about Spotify, like it became popular because and actually there is this good TV show like on Netflix about it, and they said that they took a problem. Like the problem was like there weren't at the time like good music player that were instant, so they managed to create like an amazing experience for the end user, etc. So it became popular. But let's talk about like music. The issue, like there is no digital ownership today on the actual world. If I send you like a file, I mean, you can copy these files, like you can do whatever, send you MP3. But now on chain, like with blockchain and stuff, you have a way to certify that is music, to certify it, to stop people from copying it. And you will be able maybe to create a platform with royalties, with share revenue. Like the thing with artists, like if you take 90% of artists on Spotify, they earn less than 1,000 euro per month. Okay, because on the chain there is so many third parties, intermediaries that are taking the money that they have at the end they have no money. But if we manage to create a platform where artists upload directly their music and people come to listen it and maybe they will pay because also the problem with fiat, I mean, is different. Like it's complex, like to pay like with a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a euro, but with a token. You can do it, like for example. So imagine I'm building like Spotify today where artists can upload their music. You user, you can listen to this music and you can pay a fractional of something that a unit of account that we built for the platform. So the money will go directly from the user to the artist.
Oh yeah, and this is pretty much what I sort of envision when I think of a decentralized version of Spotify. How do you get the ball rolling?
How it became popular? Well, artists will be happy. They will tell to everyone that they are very happy with this platform. User will use this platform and they will find that this platform is amazing for different reasons, and people will talk and they will use it.
Okay, well, hopefully.
Yes.
Or you can have a DAO which has a treasury and which spends a certain amount of money on marketing every month.
Exactly. But popularity, I mean, it's not about it's about like, that's why you need to build like and it's especially the case with blockchain, especially the case when we're asking what's the end goal like for the user. I mean, you need to build stuff that make it disappear. We need to build applications that make blockchain disappear, that make every complexity of what we hear is, like we will succeed if tomorrow you use an app without knowing that there is blockchain on it. That's success. Auditus, yeah. There is Auditus, yeah, but there's a lot of platforms like trying to reinvent this. But I mean, it will come because people like the service. Like you need to be focused on first like building an amazing product, an amazing experience, and then normally the rest will follow.
Build it and they will come.
Exactly. But yes, please.
I have kind of a follow-up, because if you have this platform that you play music, the money goes directly to the artist, then who's going to pay for people who make the app or are suggesting that it should be all open source.
How people are paying for open source? Like how people are paying for like a developer working in open source. Do you think they earn zero money? Like do you think they earn money? Because there are systems in place, there are donations, there are other people that are paying for this.
Do we have some more questions from the auditorium? Okay.
Thanks. Just to get because you said you have to pay to deploy code on the blockchain.
Yeah, that will show you.
To get a grasp of how much it would cost, is it like dependent on how many pages your website has? Or like how much would it cost to deploy a new Facebook on the blockchain, for example?
Well, well, I mean, like, so like the first protocol, like Ethereum, like it costs you. It costs you, like it's already an old protocol. Now it has a bit evolved, but now in the old like coming protocols, like if you take polygons, it's very cheap. You know, I mean, it will cost you like a few cents. Okay, but it depends on the size of the program. Okay, if you have 50,000 lines of code, I mean, it will cost you a bit better than 100 lines of code. But like it depends on the size of the program. But now there is protocol like it's called a fraction of a cent to deploy it. But this was made because we need. I mean, it's like game theory, and that's why there is this economics inside of those protocols, like a way to incentivize, a way to protect, a way to secure the whole system. But believe me, it's very cheap. And also, you don't need a server. You don't need to host. You don't need to go to AWS. Also, like I say, you ship your code, you execute it, you can on blockchain, it runs. It's cheaper. Yeah. It's cheaper, of course.
Okay, nice.
I mean, depending what you do, but.
Okay, I see we have some also questions from the people online, so I'll pass the mic to Carlo. We'll read through them.
Thank you. Also, follow first remark as an answer to a question earlier asked, whether there are good examples of blockchain technology currently used. Felix answered, a good example of blockchain projects is the use of at protecting indigenous people's lands by generating non-fungible tokens for the Amazon in Brazil, which is currently being used to verify who's actually the landowner, and with that also sponsoring it. Yeah. I think a question a lot of people here have is which technologies or languages should we learn to start developing for the blockchain?
So first, I mean, like I don't know if it's the same here, but I'm sure it's like when you don't know something, you ask to neighbors on the left, the right, and then you go on Google. So it's the same thing here. You start by typing what is blockchain, and I mean there is like, and we teach you like at 42 and stuff. Like we teach you how to use like a lot of technology. So there is different technology. Us, we are focused on EVM, so Ethereum virtual machine related protocols. So the programming language to build smart contract is Solidity, but another protocol is Rust. So, I mean, it's try Solidity, try Rust, and you use the technology with the one like you feel the more familiar. And so, yeah, well, let's start with Solidity because it's the most used. Let's start to learn what is Ethereum. Let's start to learn how to run a node. Okay, so let's start to learn how to be a participant of the network. Let's start to learn how to execute code. Okay, so that's a good start. I mean, Ethereum is a good start. The Bitcoin white paper is a good start also. But in terms of programming, like learn what is Ethereum and learn Solidity to start, and then you will see that there is like different, a lot of technology, different technology coming.
Thank you. Question has been upvoted is how private keys and public keys work on the blockchain. You mentioned them in the beginning of your presentation that you have to verify your identity. Do you know? Could you explain a little bit more how that works and also how the public keys work?
Okay, so it's like, you know, the underneath, I mean, like blockchain is not like magic. Like it's like everything around because there is like a complex like cryptographic algorithm. And what you have, so you have your private keys, and your private keys can be like a way to identify you, like your wallet on the network. But if you want like anybody to send you money, you won't use your private keys. Like the private keys, that's the thing that you need to keep private and that you mustn't send to anyone. That's the way to authenticate you on the network. That's the way, it's like the key that's make you what you are on blockchain, that enables you to verify and sign transaction. But using the private keys, you can create a derivative, which is your public keys, which is your address that you have on chain and that you can use and give to everyone.
Okay, thank you much. You mentioned the development of Web3. So could you briefly explain the differences between what we currently have Web 2 and what Web 3 would be then?
Okay. Well, for example, like Web 2 are like the today platform. Okay, so I was taking the example of YouTube, of Google, of Facebook. So those is Web 2, and we say there is Web 2. So because they are like central entity that are controlling the platform. They are using your data and you cannot profit on them. So that's why we call it Web 2. But also us, we call Web 2, Web 3. It's about, like I said, like the web was built on different protocols. So those were the protocols that shape the whole web. So the HTTP, SMTP and stuff. And blockchain and IPFS, for example, are these new protocols that are shaping the Web 3 for the third generation of the web. But so what you can compare Web3 is everything related to this protocol that is using blockchain, that is using IPFS. Those applications are part of Web3. And if you are still using like a platform like Google and Facebook, I mean, it's Web2.
Talking about IPFS, is it possible to delete files on IPFS? How does it work? If not, how can it scale? Won't the amount of data be infinitely grow?
Okay, so I'm not the real expert like on IPFS actually. There is better person to explain you it, but you can. I mean, it's different than. It's more like IPFS is a distributed network. Okay, so it's not decentralized network like will be blockchain. So on blockchain, if you upload something, you cannot delete it because it's decentralized, and you need like everyone needs to be okay to delete it. Okay, it's called the consensus. But IPFS is a distributed network, so it's like. I can run myself, I can run a program on which I will upload file, but I will be able to delete those files from the program that I will run, but it's become like a bit, not immutable, but a bit permanent if I decide to share the file, the reference of the file, with other nodes on the network, and if they accept to what we call to pin it, well, it will be accessed by everyone, it will be permanent. But only if other providers, so all other participants that runs IPFS node accept to make this file to run. But if no one's in the network has accepted my file, if no one in the network has accepted to run it, well, I can delete it and there is no more file on the network.
Thank you. Another question was, what, in your opinion, are the major obstacles to decentralized finance through blockchain?
Well, decentralized finance is like, I mean, it's like regulation, of course. It's a huge obstacle, but it's an obstacle, maybe a good obstacle also, because we have seen that there is like a terrible issue, terrible hack, and bankruptcy. So we need at some point regulation. But I think the biggest obstacle is the technology itself, is the complexity. If everyone understands what is solidity, what is a financial primitive, if everyone knows the technology, how they like, if they know like how like works a computer, like they do at 42, if they know how it works. You know, like the memory using C, where they are able to build better program. So the first obstacle is the knowledge and the technology. The more they know about the technology, the more that they know about like all the related stuff around it. Well, the deeper their understanding is, well, the better will be the decentralized finance.
Then, are you familiar with Peercoin, the inventor of proof of stake, and what's your opinion about it?
With what?
Peercoin.
Bitcoin?
Peercoin.
Peercoin? No, I don't know Peercoin. Really,
no,
I don't know Peercoin.
It's a quick question, yeah. Then there's also another project shared on Estonia on a good blockchain. And then there's a question coming in. We know that the blockchain is slow. Is there a solution for that?
Yes. So, like I said, it's a slow computer. But it's like, you know, like when I mean, that was, you know, it's a period of time. So this. Before you got your iPhone and your iPad, so let me show you this picture again. So before you got an iPhone, iPad, you got this, okay? That was the personal computer in 1950s, okay? This was slow. This was not even possible like to make the proper calculus. But 15 years later, like you got an iPhone, you get like a Macintosh and a real personal computer. So yeah, today it's slow because we are at the state of the technology, like still prehistoric. But this is blockchain today, okay? And my MacBook is what blockchain will be in 10 years.
Cool. And personal question: how was your journey at 42 when it began? When it was beginning?
So my journey became in 2013. In July, it was the first piscine there, and when we arrived, you know, the school was being built, and we're like ovni, like kind of UFOs of the education, and no one knew about 42, and then it became what it is today, like this fantastic network of students across the globe. And well, it started very early, and then I learned programming, I learned C, and very early on, I started interested like in Bitcoin, and very early, but it was too early. And then I started working, so I built, I launched a company, a consulting IT company. I worked for other companies. And by 2019, I figured that blockchain is becoming something more interesting than just Bitcoin with the whole evolution, with Ethereum coming. And I thought that it was the right timing to build a company, and a company that will help other people like to work on this technology.
Thank you. And then a personal question from my side. With all the new protocols coming in, do you think there's still a future for Bitcoin?
Well, you know, like still, like you know, like this old space, like you have like really people that take things at heart, and you have the old Bitcoin maximalist, and you have the old Ethereum maximalist, and you have the etc. maximalist. And I mean, it's like for me, like now, not that we work in it, I don't see any use case on Bitcoin. I mean, I don't see it was something great at the time. You know, like money was something that was like money. Like in the story of humanity, was created by lords, by kings, by state, by central bank. And for the first time, you can create your own money. For the first time, humanity has managed to create its own money using computers. So it was a fantastic revolution. That's like a peer-to-peer cash system. But for myself, I think it will become like the vintage video games that cost a lot of money. You know, like you take your old Game Boy, and this is it. But then, I mean, at some point, the technology becomes obsolete. So this is obsolete today. This is not obsolete. So that's my perspective. But it will still be something amazing that was there at the beginning, that create like an innovative journey. Builders like step in the space because they discovered Bitcoin. So we started because we discovered Bitcoin. But I don't see it as the future of this.
And then a new question came in. How about porn in blockchain? And that's an actual question, not a pun.
Well, actually, there is like a company in France, and they are doing non-porn token or something. But well, I mean, you know, like blockchain is good for the creator economy. Like we say, there is many ways like to distribute like money directly to the content creator. So. Like porn, like I mean, you're a content creator, you're creating content, so maybe that there is a way for you to earn more money because you don't have all these third parties that are on all along the chain. So yeah, so it's a good idea. Everything is a good idea on blockchain.
And somebody asking, should I learn Web 2 before I learn Web 3?
I think it's like should. Yeah, of course. It's like, should I learn C programming before I step to another programming language? So yes. Yeah, start with C programming, then see what you like, and then you can experience some web programming, backend programming language, and then when you understand everything, like you can go and jump on blockchain.
Well, thank you. I think that's most of the questions from online.
Yes.
Maybe a new big question, but and a bit cliche. But what is like mining crypto and blockchain related? Like,
okay,
what is it?
So good question. Well, I didn't want to. So there is many ways to. I tried to be like very simple, but it's still very hard, like to to explain, because it's like explaining like what's a computer, you know, like when you explain what a computer, there's so many things like to explain on it. But in a way to decentralize this network, in a way to validate transaction, okay? So like I say, you have an economic incentive. So I said that you have crypto, okay? Crypto used to as an economic incentive, and they are using to send like incentive to the participant of the network. Those participants are people that run program that are called node that enable to save an history of the blockchain, validate transaction. And so when you have all this network of participants that validate transaction, that save the history, well, it's called like a consensus algorithm, okay? So it's called a consensus algorithm, and you have different types of consensus algorithm. The most known that was brought by Bitcoin is proof of work. So basically, what is it? In a proof of work consensus algorithm, you need to use the computing power to solve complex cryptographic problem that will result in validating transaction. And the things about solving this complex cryptographic problem, I call mining, okay? Because what you get when you solve those complex cryptographic problem, you get Bitcoin, okay? So it's like you mine and you find the gold and you get gold. So that's why it's called mining. So it's about proof of work. And it's the way of solving this complex cryptographic algorithm, and you receive an incentive because you've enabled the network to work, and so it's miners. If I do this, I'm a miners. So that's the name we give to these people who use like tons of computational powers. Like you see, like they have like big like. Big house, like with a lot of servers, a lot of stuff. But then with Ethereum, like Ethereum just made an upgrade, and now they went from proof of work, which was very hard in terms of energy. Okay, so it consumed a lot of energy, and they went to proof of stake. And proof of stake is not about putting like energy, it's about putting money. So you became, before you had the validator of the miners, sorry, on Bitcoin, and the proof of stake, you are the validator. And what do? Instead of putting a lot of energy power, well, you put money. So for example, if you want to validate the network on Ethereum, you need to put 32 ETH, okay, that's quite a lot of money, but it will guarantee that you will behave properly, that will do fine, because if you do not behave properly, if you try to be a bad actor in the network, it will crush your money. But on Bitcoin, the protection is like you need to allocate a lot of computational power, a lot of energy, a lot of computers. So if you behave badly, well, so you will lose a lot of money as well. So it's game theory, you know, like it's how we can use economics to enable people to behave properly.
So now it's less about running your computer for days and living.
You still need to run a computer, but Bitcoin, you're using like it was needed a lot of energy. You know, you need a lot of graphic card, like a lot of computational power, which now with the old proof of stake like protocols, like you don't need a lot of energy. I mean, like you can now soon, like there is like new protocol that can run on a Raspberry Pi. You know, like it's fantastic. So no need of a lot of big computer, like just a Raspberry Pi. And this is a way also to decentralize everything. Because the more accessible is it to anyone to run a blockchain node, well, this is how we will reach plain decentralization.
Okay, thank you. Like, why would you pay money to have a node? Is that a weird question?
No, it's a good question. Well, because you will get money because you enable the network to work. So, like you said, every time you want to create, and this is the question like you asked me before, you say me like, does it cost a lot to deploy your program on chain? It depends, but you pay a transaction fees, and this transaction fees goes to the people that get the node, that enable the network to work. So it will cost you a bit of time to set up it, a bit of money maybe if you need computer or some stuff, but at some point you will be incentivized to do so, and you will get your money in the form of crypto.
Thank you. Maybe another question, and maybe it's very stupid, but like,
you were talking all the time about people accepting like your program, for example, to the blockchain because you have people that incentivize or something like that. Do you actually accept it, or does the computer accept it?
I mean, I can show you. You know, like it's more. This is what I wanted to do, but it's like, you know, creating actually a program on chain. You need. I mean, you need like. I mean, you publish it. Yeah. You just have to pay for the fees, and it's done. You know. It's automatically, and then it runs autonomously and in a completely like autonomous manner and forever. But like for example, I wanted to show you like before how to deploy like your NFT and show you how we use IPFS. But basically, what we do, like I spoke not so much about Starton, but it's like, you know. Today you are reinventing the wheel at 42. You are recoding everything in C. But in the real world, this is not what you do. In the real world, you need to bring the best app that can scale, etc. So you will use framework, you will use library, API. So us, we compare ourselves as kind of Stripe, what Stripe did for payment, enables everyone to integrate payment within the app, or Twilio for communication, enables everyone to integrate communication within the app. We do it for blockchain. But when we handle this for you, so now you can focus on the user experience and bring the best experience for the end user. But for example, I will show you how to deploy a smart contract right now. So like I say, everything you do in blockchain, you need a wallet. Okay, so this is my wallet. It's like a digital wallet. I have my private keys that enable to sign the transaction. This is the derivative of my public key, so that's my address. And everything you do on chain, so that's the protocol that we have, you need a crypto. So of course, like I said, as a developer, I mean, if you have to pay every time you deploy a program, it will cost you a lot of money when you test. So you have what we call testnet. Testnet are like blockchain protocol with less security. And to deploy a smart contract, you need what we call faucet. So it's like the fake crypto, but it's free. So I will show you how to deploy, for example, like quickly, like a smart contract. So I can show you what a smart contract looks like. Hold on a minute. I will show you something cool. So this is, for example, so you've heard of crypto, but basically, what is a crypto? It's like you have different. So basically, it's a program. So it's code, okay? So there is nothing crazy about it. This is code in Solidity that you push on chain. But us, what we do, like we wrap it a bit, so you don't have to handle the whole infrastructure and stuff. So I will create the Codam project. So I will create, for example, like crypto. Like there's just a basic example for the school. So I choose. So it could be like a crypto, like to use within the school, maybe you know, like to pay for services, like within student, etc. So I will use a network called Polygon. I will use the testnet network, so which is the free network. I will say, let's call it the Codam super token. The symbol, it's the CST, and let's put a supply of 21 million, like Satoshi Nakamoto did with Bitcoin. Okay, so it's a developer product, but you still have a graphic interface if you are lazy, but you can do it all from the API. It is a bit better, but we generate the code that you need. So for example, that's an example code in Node.js, and like the benefit of Starton is like you can deploy, you can build Web3 application just if you know how to make HTTP request. So that's basically like a library to make HTTP request, and if you know how to make HTTP request, so using an API, you can use our product and build like interesting stuff. So I will deploy it right now, and I will show you. So I've just deployed my smart contract, but what is it? So I said that now I'm on Polyscan. So a Polygon scan is like a blockchain explorer. It's what we call a blockchain explorer. Blockchain explorer is like a website where you can see the data of what's happening on blockchain. And like I said, everything you do on blockchain is a transaction. So I've just created a program that I've executed. It's a transaction. And everything, so every transaction has a unique identifier, which is called the hash. So you can retrieve everything, okay, on chain. You can send me this hash, I can retrieve every information. So let's say, okay, now I can see, so everything also is time-stamped, so I know exactly at what time I did it. I can see that from, so this is the unique identifier of the transaction, status, success. Remember, I told you that it's a chain of blocks, so every transaction is batched in a block, then published in the network, so that's the number I'm part of this block. Okay, from, that's my address. The contract, so I've created this smart contract, 0 because it's a new creation. And 2, this is where I've created the token, and this is the same address on my principal address, and etc., the supply, and the program. So now, like I say, everything is auditable on chain. So now it's on blockchain, okay? So we create 21 million CST, and we can see the program, everything, like, I mean, there is no way to hide on blockchain. Like, if you create a program, like, you better writing properly because everyone will see your code. So basically, I can see my program. Like the program I just showed you before is there. But that's why it's at trust, you know, it's a platform of trust. There is no lie. You publish a program, everyone can audit it, everyone can verify what you are doing. And that's why it's enabled us to create a decentralized finance system. Because at some point, when we can use like program that everyone can audit it, that we can assure that it will behave like it was programmed for, well, we can imagine a lot of things. And this is the API, it's kind of like of the API, it's kind of the interface of this program. But then I will show you something else. And you can use, like, and this is something to do because what you do on chain is permanent and everyone can use your smart contract. Everyone can use your program. So you have function. So when you write code in Solidity, you have function that only the owner can use. This owner is was my wallet address, okay? And there is function that everyone can use. But sometimes, and that's why there is some huge hack, because you have some function like create more token, you ask me, how can I create more token? Well, normally in this program, you cannot because I'm the owner. So the function creating more token, it's only me can use it. But if I made a mistake and I write my code and I didn't put like a owner role on this function, well, everyone can do it. So that's why it happens that we have terrible issue. So let's call a function. So there is like function balance off with one parameters. The parameters is an address. So I will put my wallet address on it. Tac. And I query, and I can see that I have zero token because I didn't make any transfer. So everything is auditable, everything is public, and you can see everything. So if you want to start learning, I mean, you can take like the biggest project and see how is their code, you know. Like, will have been possible like, to see the code of Facebook? I mean, like the backend, something? No, not possible. Now you can.
Basil, does it work? So usually we ask at the end of a masterclass if you're taking in interns, and if so, what would we be learning, and a good reason we should go to your company. Yeah.
Was okay. Well, what you will do? But you will learn blockchain, for example. So you will learn what is Web3 and how it's going to shape like our new digital world. Depending what you do, like you could be like a Solidity intern and learn about Solidity code. You can learn backend, okay? So we have a huge tag in backend also. We have needs in DevOps because there is a lot of infrastructure to handle. You can learn frontend depending on what you do. But also what we need when you build a product for developer, it's not only about the product, it's about the experience, okay? So we all love when you have a proper documentation, okay, documentation that we like, and this is a real work, and the thing is, in our team, like few people likes to write, so we need technical writer. We already won recently, like a technical writer arrived, and she's amazing, but she's alone, so we need helps. So you need to understand the code. You need to know how to develop in order to build proper documentation, to build tutorials. So we need developer advocate. We need people that we can send everywhere to teach people like what is blockchain, to teach people how can we use the product. So this is it. And then what you should come is first because I'm very nice and fun, I guess. And the second, because we have passionate about what we do. We want to spread this passion everywhere, but because we have the rage also, we do it because we have ambition. Okay, we are not doing to play. We are doing it because we want to be the leading company in this new space that is arriving. So maybe if you join us at some point in a few years, you will realize that you will be part of this leading company of this new software industry. That's why you need to join us. In France, yeah, in France or anywhere. I mean, like we do remote, but yes, we are based in Paris. We're based in Paris.
Then a few more questions from the audience at home. How can we launch our change? Is a special request required? You just showed us how to do it. Is that all there is to it?
How can we launch our chain? Is any special request required? Well, this is not a chain. This is what I just launched. It's just the code in Solidity. If you want to launch your own chain, well, I mean, everything's open source, everything like you can copy paste the code of Bitcoin and try to launch it. But what is required is, like you need to understand about us, we work at a higher level of blockchain. But blockchain is part of, the guys who built blockchain, they were those mathematicians and cryptographists. So it's very it's something like I really know a few because it's very, very complex. And in my company, there's people way better at this than me. But like they tell you at 42, you can go on Google and you can check everything by yourself. And there's a lot of forum and there is everything, all the chain, like everyone has copy and launched a lot of chain because it's an open source code. So I'm sure you can learn on internet how to launch your own chain. But this isn't what I did just today. I just launched a program.
And then the other question is the cryptographic problems that are solved for proof of work, are they used for anything else?
The cryptographic problem solution used for afterward, what kind of problem are solved to? You mean the first question?
Yes.
Receive the proof of work. The solution is for afterward. Blockchain is based on cryptography, so it is used for everything. It is used to protect the users on chain. It is used to create as a public address. It is used to validate every transaction on the network. It is used to make sure that you have the right balance, and then the network can authorize you to send token. Cryptography is used everywhere on chain. For every.
I think he's asking about the algorithm.
The algorithm. Which algorithm? Algorithm we choose for proof of work? No, it's a question.
No, I think he's asking what happens once you did the proof of work. What you figured out what the actual solution was, so that you're the one who's going to mine the block. What happens with that solution, so to speak? Where is it stored? What is done with it afterwards?
Okay. Well, it's not downloaded anywhere. It's just they are the network is sending a complex problem that is being solved by the node. But really, I think I cannot understand this question. This is really way out of what I know. So I prefer him to look online or ask someone else.
Another question, what about centralization of Ethereum now it has proof of stake? I guess that goes into with the proof of work, it's more decentralized, and if you have to pay 32 ETH, there's probably less people doing that.
Funny. So it's a real question, of course, and I think centralization is a real problem with proof of stake because we have we've seen that today it's not about the energy that you can use, but it's more about the money that you can put in the network. And the thing is, like we are seeing that now we think it's centralized because we're having people with a lot of money that became validator of the network. But this is just the beginning, and the network will be more and more decentralized over time, but also now money is not a requirement because you have delegate pool, delegate validator, where like many people with just a fraction of an Ether can all come together and participate on the network. So yeah, it's just because it was phase one, but it will be better and better over time.
We have, I think, 10 minutes left or something like that. So I don't know if.
Yeah, I can show you. Like, have you heard about like? I can show you what is NFT and how to use like IPFS. So maybe you've heard about NFT. All right, so that is one of the most expensive collection. So NFT is not just like a really expensive JPEG, okay? It will become much more, okay? So we believe that it will be used, like for example, our like IDs like will be NFTs. Everything like document, paper could be transformed as NFTs. We have client building like a ticket system where the ticket is an NFT, you know, until like so you cannot have like copy the ticket, or I have false ticket, etc. We have also a company building video games, where those video games asset, the weapons, the player is an NFT. So those are concepts that already existed in previous game. If you have played World of Warcraft, like you could sell your player. If you've played Diablo 3, you could like transfer and sell on the marketplace a weapon, but it wasn't done in a legal way, in an efficient way. But now, blockchain technology are changing many concepts. One of the concepts is the ownership, digital ownership. So now we can build video games where your in-game assets are digital assets, okay? So they are token, your weapon, etc. So you can withdraw it and maybe put it in another ecosystem, or you can sell it to another players. Or if you are banned, you have spent days, you have spent weeks at games playing this game. Well, at some point something can happen that you are banned, but well, you are really proper. You really own those assets. But that was an example that was Bored Apes. It's just like a picture, actually, but they have created like a big brand around it. And but to show you that we are very at the early beginning of something that could be amazing, and all the use case has to be built, you know. And that's why we are trying to lower the barriers of entry of blockchain to enable anyone like to build like a product. So I want to show you what is an NFT actually. So you have seen. So let's go on the smart contract. Okay. So. Same, this is like Blockchain Explorer. So previously I was on Polygon Blockchain Explorer, so this is Ethereum Blockchain Explorer. So this is this website to see the data. And what we have here, so we have all the transaction, okay? And we can see the code. So we go to contract, same, and this is all the code that you can copy paste yourself and use that enable to create Bored Ape. But like I said, NFT is something much more than a token. So it's a token with added information that we call metadata. But if you store this metadata in a centralized server, for example, we lose sorry?
We lose decentralization.
Yeah, we lose decentralization because like you could have like your NFT and at some point the person is not paying a server, well, you will have image not found, you know, or something like this. That's why we use this other distributed protocol, but now you have decentralized file storage protocol like Arweave, etc. So you have like a lot of protocols that are being created to store file because, like I said, everything you do on chain has a cost, and blockchain is not yet done to upload a high volume of data. So, but basically, where is this file? So I show you how was IPFS, and token bears URI. So this is, remember the CID, so this is this hash. So this is the link to, so they have uploaded all the content of the NFT has been uploaded on IPFS. And I can change, I can use like different function of, for example, I can see, so I can use any function of the smart contract. So for example, I can see, I want to check how many board ape I have. So where is this function? Total, oh, if this is the total supply, so we can see that there is 10,000. Token of owner by index, GitHub balance off. So for example, I copy my address here. I can see that I have 0 board apes. So they have deployed a smart contract. This is the code, okay, that I've showed you. And then they have hosted the file, all the metadata on IPFS. But I can show you, so what is IPFS? So with IPFS, it's another protocol. So you can run your own node, but we run different nodes. So when you upload the file on IPFS, it is like we run like a lot of nodes, so it is already in different places. But basically, I will create like an NFT with you right now. So let's have like a burger, I don't know, like picture, for example. Okay, so I'll upload this. So I will upload this picture on IPFS, okay. And here we can see that it has generated this unique CID, which is like the reference of my content on IPFS. Okay, so that was the difference between location-based referencing and content-based referencing. So it's not where you go, but what you want. And if I put this CID in any smart contract, it means I want this file, okay? It's not another file. Even if you can change something or delete it on IPFS, I mean, it's this picture that I want. So now I will do something else. So let's say, well, I will try to go fast, but so this is OpenSea, like is a marketplace, okay? So it shows you like all the metadata. So what we have here, we have the name of the collection, okay? We have a description. So that's about the collection. Here it's about the NFT. We have an image. We have some attributes. So I will go there. I will upload. So I need some metadata. So there's all the information that will upload on IPFS. So I have an example here. Oh, perfect. So collection. So it's basically a JSON. Up. Okay. So I will upload some information. So let's call it the Codam collection. An awesome collection of NFT. Okay. It needs an URL. Okay, to print the file. So I will copy the burger that is just here, up. That's my burger. Okay, go back on IPFS. Okay, I can put a link. There is an information about like seller fees. So we can see here, we can say here that every time that someone, so I will create the NFT collection, maybe I will send one NFT to you, and we can say that every time someone will buy the NFT or sell it again, you will take like royalties. And this is here. So I will put, if I put 200, it means 2%. I will put my address. And here what I want to say is like every time someone will sell it, okay, and someone will buy it, I will get my, my share. Up Codam NFT, Codam collection, tac. Okay, so now I have uploaded the whole metadata, so it's a JSON with the whole information. I copy the CID. I go back, so you can, like I said, you can deploy everything from the API. So there is, because blockchain is very new, and everyone was doing like was doing terrible things like when they were coding. They've created standard. So now they've created standard for NFTs called ERC 721. When you want to create a crypto, it's called ERC 20, etc. So now I will collection. So let's say collection Codam. Tac. I select the wallet. I choose the type of blockchain. Same. So the network, and now I can choose the name of the smart contract. So let's call it the Codam collection. Tac. And the base URI is, so it's where I want to host my file. So it could be a centralized exchange, okay? So it could be a S3 storage from AWS, or it's IPFS. And there I copy the CID, which is just there. Up. Tac. And so now, same, I've just deployed like a smart contract that will be used to create an NFT. But now I haven't created an NFT yet. I've just deployed the smart contract. And then to create this NFT, I will call another function of my smart contract, which is called the min function that will be enabled to generate an NFT. So these NFT have some information like an image, like a title, etc. So I will do the same. I will check the metadata, NFT, Okay, so I will upload this on IPFS. Tac. So let's call it like the burger burger NFT. Check. So same thing, I need the CID. And then NFT, I can deploy this. So I take back the CID of my NFT. Now I have already deployed my smart contract. It was the Codam collection Codam smart contract. I will use the safe min function. This is my wallet. I will add the extra information that will generate the metadata and enable to see my picture and the name. And then I choose a wallet where to send. Let's go there, new wallet. Tac, and I call the min function. And now, if everything is fine, I have created So it's not yet fine. I will connect Now, let's see if I have created my NFT. OpenSea testnet, tac. I will go, so there is a testnet OpenSea also, so you can see when you've used like the testnet. Tac. I will just connect to my new wallet. All right. Tac. So it asks me to sign, so I authenticate, I show that it's myself. Let's see. Okay, Codam College. Okay, perfect. So we can see that there is like one transfer, and there is total supply is one CC because I've only mint one NFT. And if I connect normally on OpenSea now, and I go there, nope. Oh yeah, I can see my burger NFT. So the image is not there yet because it's okay. Now it's here because it's on IPFS and it's a bit of time like to be everywhere. And voila, I put some information. So this was in the JSON, and then I can, for example, like directly sell my NFT right now for a certain price. And I will add a utility, and I will say to anyone, if you got this NFT, I will offer you a burger. So basically, that was like an NFT creation. Thank you.